Another day at the Star, Brianna Aldridge joined by Jet Beecham to break down what is going on, because all we heard to start off was injuries and more injuries now affecting the Cowboys on both sides of the ball. But we'll start with the most recent, their number 2 wide receiver, Brandin Cooks. He hasn't really been cooking out there the last couple games, but it's still a big blow when you're trying to get back or stay in the win column, I should say.
It's, again, he's off. You mentioned the slow start. I mean, he hasn't really impacted them too much on the field, but again, this is a guy that, is a great locker room voice, a guy that, especially in the wide receiver room, he's kind of that vocal leader, and a guy they still trust on, and a guy that you still have to respect on the field because he does bring speed, I should say. But again, kind of a fluke knee injury, if you will, because, he stayed in New York for just, some quick surgery to clean things up, and apparently, according to multiple reports, came down with an infection, so now he's for sure out this week. Who knows if it continues going on, too. So the Cowboys, are going to have to rely on some younger receivers.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that stood out to me was McCarthy, like he said, like he does with every injury, he doesn't like to give too specific. He lets us talk to the players just out of respect for what they want to tell us. But he did say it was the same knee that he was having issues with during training camp, and he was missing days there as well. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, even if he just misses this game, how 100% is he going to be when you're facing a Detroit team that just came off a very great game, I might say, at home.
And these next 2 weeks are, it's good that the bye, I guess, for the Cowboys this year is a little bit earlier. So again, when it comes to people like Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and now Brandin Cooks, it probably is helpful for them, but it's not easy when you face a Steelers team that's 3-1, and then also a Lions team that is looking like one of the best teams in the NFC a week after that.
So that's the bad news, though. We know who will not be playing against the Steelers, but there was some positivity we can throw out there. Rookie corner Kalen Carson, who missed last week. You saw him on the practice field. I was distracted by Jerry Jones' helicopter, so I missed some of that. But just what did you see from him today?
Kalen was out there. I mean, he was going through warm-ups. Again, he was officially limited is what they put on the progress report, but generally that was good. Mike McCarthy did say in his press conference that, today was a big day for him. They need to see what he can do. And again, they don't want to throw him out there kind of like these other guys. If he's injured, because obviously there's a bunch of the season to go. But Kalen did look good for the portion we did see him in practice. I'd probably be a little bit positive when it comes to guys being limited on Wednesday, because you obviously have 3 more days for them to kind of get right. And again, he's been waiting for a bit. And his injury wasn't as serious as Deron Bland's way back when. So, I would expect to probably see Kalen Carson on the field this Sunday.
Yeah, Deron Bland as a name keeps coming up, seeing when that practice window is going to open up. Can't wait to actually see Diggs, Bland, and Carson all out healthy.
Great secondary.
We're kind of being robbed of that right now. But they're going against Justin Fields, who is having a pretty decent season, and it seems like every game he's getting a little bit better. They're coming off a loss, but just taking on that young QB going from Daniel Jones, like, what do you think that kind of translates?
And sometimes, you kind of take it back, too, to, like, almost Bryce Young, with a lot of people in Carolina thinking he just needs to change the scenery. And sometimes scenery is good for somebody. And again, Justin Fields had a tough time with the Bears, the team he was drafted to. He comes to the Steelers, a new environment around some new guys, new staff. And, he wasn't supposed to start initially, but then Russell Wilson obviously has this calf injury that kind of ticks up. And so here comes Justin Fields, leads him out to a 3-0 start. Again, didn't get it done against the Colts last week, but, they were down 17-0, and he led them back almost to a win. They just lost by 3. So, Justin Fields, in a new environment has been playing quite well. And again, when it comes to the Cowboys, we saw them suffer against a running quarterback already this year in Lamar Jackson. Justin Fields is no Lamar Jackson. But, again, it's going to be hard when you lose guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, who get after the quarterback and are so good in the run game. So it's going to be interesting to see.
It definitely is, especially when I think of Mike Tomlin. It doesn't matter who is at quarterback. It's always a defense. They're just a gritty team. And you're like, how are they keep winning games? They're barely scoring touchdowns. It feels like the theme that's been the last couple seasons. But they're still like a team that's postseason worthy because of the defense. They are the 8th-ranked pass defense going against a team that's kind of been struggling. Like, we know it's there, but it's like something's been kind of off. CD is coming off a great game. I expect him to do the same, but again, it's going to be maybe Tolbert, maybe Brooks. Lipke's been kind of in the action. Like, who do you think is gonna, like, maybe just, and who are you feeling is gonna take it away?
You never know, and I think Dak's probably gonna still rely on the guys like CD Lamb and like Jake Ferguson, those pass, because again, the run game, even talking to Hunter Lipke today, he said, it's going to click at some point. Like, you guys are going to see it. But again, I'm more of a, when we see it, okay, you got to prove it. I mean, we got to see it on the field before I start believing in that. Ryan Flanoy is kind of that rookie guy. He's been on the act. He's been active going into Sunday, and then they obviously have to cut down the roster to 53 inactive. So he hasn't been active for any of the Sundays. We talked to him today. He's really excited because he's kind of that next man up. And again, the entire wide receiver room is kind of having that next man up mentality. So we'll see, hopefully somebody like Jalen Brooks or Ryan Flanoy can kind of show out and kind of, cement themselves in this lineup. But we'll see. I mean, I think, Tolbert's going to have to step up if he has to.
Yeah, and Tolbert hit it right on the nail when he said opportunity. This is an opportunity. So many positions on this team right now are just young players stepping up. Like literally every position. Some with the injuries that happened in camp and now that are happening now. That's really like the theme of what's happening no matter what position. And I personally am looking forward to this passing game to, step up because the run game has just been consistently not there. And one thing that I've noticed, I think we spoke about it earlier, Zeke is just like this uptick guy, but since last game he's been very quiet. He was quiet again today. And I just don't know if that's like a mental thing, if that's a preparation thing, but how do you been just doing that?
Zeke's not used to, he's never been in a situation before where, again, even in New England, he was still either the number one or the number two back. And so now we look at Zeke and you look at his usage. Oftentimes in these past games, he's the third, if not fourth running back that we see in the game. And so he's not used to that. Rico Dowdle I think he's clearly cemented himself as the number one running back. You still see some Deuce Vaughn. You still see some Hunter Lipke. Zeke's, I just don't know, the success and the talent they have at running back, I'm not sold on. And so I think that's a lot of that has to do with that. But again, you also mentioned, all the young players, the young offensive line. They've struggled a little bit this season with both the pass and run block, and it's going to take some time to get the consistency there. But again, we'll see. We'll see what the running game is. At the end of the day, you have a $60 million quarterback, a $35 million receiver. Those two are going to be the guys that get your offense going.